Hey, check 1 2. Check 1 2. Get this a little bit better here. That's good. Guess I can come a little bit closer. And let me bring this down just a bit. All right, should be good. Taking a few sips of tea. A little chilly this morning. It's nice outside. It's actually really hot outside, but it was cold here yesterday, and so the house still has a little chill to it. Okay, so good morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you are. Thank you for tuning in. Excited to share this practice with you. What is Manamaya Kosha? Manamaya Kosha is the third layer deep. It is the middle ground between the external and the internal. The mind has the capacity to both process the external experience and the internal experience. So the mind is this magnificent mechanism that is taking in information and processing that and asking things like, well, what does this have to do with me? Meaning the ego area. It stores things in our memory bank the same way our computer does. The mind is this incredible. I just think it's one of the most incredible creations of nature, and that's my mind talking. So, of course, it thinks it's incredible. The mind, the mind and the ego likes to. But I mean, think about it. It's just an incredible thing that we can think. We can. When I talk about the mind, it's thoughts and emotions. It's our processing, and that's just something so magnificent that we get to reflect upon life itself. And that's why we have the name Homo sapien. It's the one that can reflect upon itself. And that's what makes it a gift to be human, is that we have this thing that we call the mind, and we can self-reflect. So this yoga practice, or the meditation practice of self-reflection, is just honoring what it means to be human. And that's partially why it feels so good. Now, the other part is the mind is used to processing the outer world all the time. It's taking in information constantly through the senses, through the eyes, through the ears, through our sense of touch, taste, smell. So it is constantly taking in and being bombarded with information from the outer world and constantly processing them. Now, we hardly ever, I think because of the way that we were brought up, we're never trained to reflect inward so much. Yes, there's some critical thinking here and there in school when you grow up, but really reflecting upon our own emotional experience, on our thoughts, and then beyond, the energy that is pulsing and creating all of this. So when you start contemplating and reflecting and becoming aware of what we truly are, a being of nature, you start to experience that there is an underlying current of energy within you, that it's undeniable. It's also on the external. When you go through science, you can just realize, you break it down, you keep breaking it down, you recognize that it's always energy, right? And that undercurrent of energy that exists within us is, if we can reflect the mind back and turn it around, to see that, or just simply to process that experience. Now, it's huge. It's like, could you imagine if we were only processing the inner world and suddenly turned our eyes to the outer world? We opened up our senses. Suddenly we can see, suddenly we can hear, suddenly we can smell, suddenly we can taste and feel all at once. It would be like a whoa, a bombardment of things to process. And it would be so overwhelming that most of us probably wouldn't. But that's where our comfort zone is, where we've lived the majority of our life growing up as children, learning to process the outer world. Now, usually in adulthood, somewhere, I believe, they say in the late 20s, that is when adults start turning the other direction and looking inward, if we're so fortunate that our ego allows and that we've had the life circumstances that give us guidance to go in that direction. I forget where I read that. It's like the second birth, basically, the spiritual birth, and that's the reflecting the mind back inward. All right, so we get started, and the way that we train the mind to go inward is first through pranayama, controlling. So if you think of the outermost layer as the physical body, we can awaken the body, we move the pelvis, we move the spine, move the neck, right? And then we're going to do a quick pranayama, and the pranayama is going to guide us inward to the mind. The mind, now we use what's called a mantra. It's a repetitive phrase that brings us inward to the other states. It turns the mind, it gives the mind something repetitive. The mind requires that something is constant in order for it to relax. Otherwise, it's going to constantly hear things. It's going to constantly smell, taste, feel. The thing is, that's okay if that's happening. That's part of the process. I want you to know that today or any other day that you sit down and practice, no matter how much practice you have meditation, there are going to be days where you get just completely bombarded with the senses, with your thoughts, completely distracted by your body, and that's normal. It's like some days when you brush your teeth, there's more plaque on them than others, and that's normal, and you brush them anyway, right? Same thing for the mind in meditation. You meditate anyway, you sit anyway. So we use a mantra, Om Namah Shivaya, and that simply means it's a way, Om Namah, it's a bow, basically a humble bow to that current of energy that is within us. So it turns the mind, if we repeat it over and over again, it gives the mind something to anchor into so it can stay steady. And then from that steadiness, we can turn it inward toward the self-reflection, self-awareness, observation, becoming the witness. And from that place of witnessing and observing and witnessing and observing and just witnessing and observing, eventually that experience of what's called divine knowledge or Vijnanamaya Kosha, sometimes wisdom or awareness, starts to emerge, where you become aware of the deeper underlying patterns of the mind. You can see things for what they are rather than being caught up in the experience of the mind. You can start to see the underworkings of the mind, which means you'll start to see your childhood patterns, the scars, the wounds, all the different things. And if you can work your way through this layer, which is not a scary layer at all, it's actually quite freeing, because it takes you and allows you to realize that this mind is not who I am. It's just a mechanism that I have. Just a big difference. If you can work through that, into that layer, then there's this emergence into that state of bliss. The state of bliss, Ananda Maya Kosha, is the deepest layer that encases the soul of consciousness itself within us. All right, so we use Om Namah Shivaya as our mantra. Let's take a seat. If you're not seated comfortable, please sit up on a block, blankets. And I always suggest at the edge of a chair if sitting on the ground is uncomfortable. Don't let this be a practice of asana today. Let it be a practice of meditation. So make sure you're upright, but comfortable enough that you don't have to be distracted by your body. Take a breath in. Breath out. let the thigh bones become heavy. So shift your weight a little forward towards the thighs, from the pelvis tipping forward. The low back will start forming a gentle curve, like a back bend. And behind the heart fills out, becomes more full. Breathe behind the shoulder blades and let there be space back there. Bring your hands back further on your lap so you can lift your shoulders gently up and ever so slightly back so that the collarbones open up. Lift the back of your skull, the back of your head up, and move the ears back in line with your shoulders. So we create like an antenna, or a physical representation of ready to receive, ready to experience the inner world beyond the outer physical self. We start by using simple pranayama that we've done before, Nadi Shodhana. So you fold in your right palm, you fold your index finger and middle finger into the palm. With your right thumb, place it over your right nostril and take an inhale slowly through the left, Ujjayi sound of breath. And then slowly use your opposite finger, your ring finger, to close the left nostril. Breathe out through the right. Breathe in through the right. Close the right nostril and then breathe out through the left. Breathe in through the left. And then out through the right. In through the right. Out through the left. Pause for a second, release the hand. Exhale through the mouth. Observe the sensational experience of breath, of energy that pulses through this physical form. We'll do the second round of Nadi Shodhana, but I'd invite you to go at your own pace so that you can slow the breath down if you're comfortable with that. And then add a little lingering moment between the inhales and the exhales. So you'll like inhale, and then at the top of the inhale, you just for a moment, neither holding your breath nor letting it go, just like a moment of nothingness. In that stillness exists the experience that yogis call samadhi, the oneness with the universe. Okay, so let's try the right thumb over the nostril and breathe out. And then on the next breath in through the left side, take your time breathing in, but when you get to the top, just linger without clenching any muscles. And then exhale through the right. Again, at the bottom, whenever it comes around, linger without holding your breath. And then you'll just, when it's time, inhale through the right. I'm going to let you go on your own time so it's appropriate for you, something that feels elongated and steady and calming, but is not feeling like claustrophobic by any means. Just elongated, steady, and calming. Continue. The next time you breathe out through the left, let that be the final round. And then breathe in through both sides. Feel the vibrational energy of breath. That comes from your breath, that we call prana, life force, pulses through you. Let's go to the next step. We move through the depths of the mind. Mind is a very tricky place that's very captivating and exciting, and it holds our attention quite well. It's entertaining. So in order to move through it without getting caught up in it, we need to use a mantra, a repetition, a phrase. We use Om Namah Shivaya. Again, it's just to turn the mind inward, to turn it around to the inner world so we can self-reflect, become awake and aware. Start out loud as part of our pranayama. You can feel the vibration of your voice. So we do it together. Inhale. Om Namah Shivaya. 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 Now, as we bring it inward, you can repeat it faster since you don't have to breathe. Just something like Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. So you do that silently, and if you get lost, you lose the mantra because you maybe get distracted by a thought or a feeling or a sound or something, and simply just come back to doing it out loud if you like, which will help you stay in alignment with the mantra Om Namah Shivaya. Now recognize it is natural to get lost. It is natural to get distracted. It is normal. All of us do. It'll probably be about 7 seconds maximum of focus time. Okay, so when you get lost, when you get distracted, when you get entertained by a thought, you simply come back. Om Namah Shivaya. Let's keep going internally. I'll let you be for a while without my voice. I'll just give you little reminders here and there of Om Namah Shivaya. Try not to feel any guilt or shame. You just get right back into the mantra. Om Namah Shivaya. as the mind repeats the mantra Om Namah Shivaya. Try to watch your mind reciting the mantra. Observe. Watch the mind as it recites the mantra, as it thinks, as it gets distracted. Watch it. Watch. Watch. Witness the mind. Bring yourself back to your breath. Very slowly come back downward through the layers. Deepen your breath so you can feel your physical body again. Each finger slowly awakens, each toe. Interlace the hands, stretch the arms up overhead. Bring the palms together, create a little heat between the palms. Place the palms over the eyes, take a breath in. Hands over the heart, breath in. Hands over the belly. And massage your legs, bring your awareness to your physical form. All right. Thank you so very much for tuning in here. I'm glad we can sit together and enjoy the workings of our mind, Manamaya Kosha, and know that this is life's work. It's not something that just comes easy. And a lot of you reflected that it was a bit easier to go from the physical practice to pranayama to meditation, to have those as a cohesive, which makes sense, physical to energetic to mind layer in one session, one experience. So what I've done for the September immersion, which is coming up, is I have made Tuesdays are going to be, so we're going to practice 3 days a week, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. And Tuesday classes are going to be just that. They're going to be from the physical body into the pranayama, into the meditation. Or, I might mix the order up there, but they're going to include all three. So for the month of September, our meditation will be integrated into the yoga practice experience, which I'm excited for. I think I want to see how that goes for everybody and what that how that transforms and changes your seated yoga practice, seated meditation practice, see if it enhances the development and the ability to go inward. I know for me, when I first started yoga, meditation was way easier when I was doing my yoga practice first. So let's see how it goes. Hopefully this will serve us all. Look forward to having you in the September immersion that begins September 1st, I believe is the date, which is on a Tuesday. I posted in the Facebook group the link to sign up. I will have it for you via email soon. And but use the one in the Facebook group rather than the one on my Instagram if you want to get the discount. And I really look forward to practicing more with you. Thank you so much so far. It's been a wonderful journey through the koshas. Talk to you soon.